Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Skye and today we're doing a 2 looks plus review with the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. If you're not interested in hearing my review, skip to this timestamp right here, it will take you straight to the first look. But if you're curious to hear my thoughts on this palette, then let's just get right on into it. If you don't know, Glaminatrix are an indie brand based in Australia, more specifically in Queensland, and anytime I talk about Glaminatrix or any other brand that's Australian, I always go on about how much they just hit me close in the heart because as an Aussie away from home myself, I just love an Aussie brand. Now I did receive this palette in PR, I am on Glaminatrix's PR list, but despite that, they're not paying me to make this video. This video is not sponsored, I'm just reviewing it on my own free will. This is what the palette looks like, a lovely mauvey gradient, and the letters are glossy. I don't know if you're gonna be- oh, there you go. You can see it right there. And the gradient continues on the back of the palette. It is very sleek and compact, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So it is a 15-pan palette with 8 shimmers and 7 mattes. It does have a mirror on the inside as well, and the pans in here are magnetic, so if you get like a strong magnet, you can take these out, rearrange the palette, or put them in with your singles, which I really like that Glaminatrix is doing that with all of their palettes. All of their pans are magnetic. This palette also has a mirror on the inside and retails for £41. I'll put the price conversions in US dollars, euros, and Australian dollars on screen right here if you are curious about that. And let's talk about the formula in here. First of all, as always, let's talk about the mattes. Now, Glaminatrix makes one of my favorite matte formulas of all time. I mean, it's so hard to I need to rank my palettes. Oh no. But Glaminatrix are definitely in my top 3 matte shadow formulas. I absolutely adore them. The mattes in here are extremely silky, quite powdery, but not too powdery. They're a perfect in between. They're not too firmly pressed either. They are so pigmented and they blend effortlessly on the eyes. I find you don't really have to work that much with them in order to get a nice seamless blend. And I was incredibly impressed with the deep mattes in this palette, specifically Disrobe and Naturally. Every neutral palette I think needs to have some super deep mattes to make it a bit more universal, because I find when I do neutral looks, I do like a bit of depth. I like to have a bit of depth. And those shadows are incredibly deep. And even though they're so deep, they are not hard to work with. They blend just as good as the other shades. They don't blend out into a grey or anything weird like that. They are honestly perfect. Chef's kiss. They are beautiful. And I think the mattes in this palette complement perfectly with the shimmers in here. And yeah, there's not really much to say about the matte formula other than it is literally top tier. It is incredible. Now let's talk about the shimmer shadows in this palette. Now these shimmers, they're not marketed as duochromes, multichromes, or anything like that. They are just super sparkly foiled metallics, and my goodness, if you're not gonna make a duochrome or a multichrome, these are the kind of shimmers that I want. They are super sparkly and impactful. I am so in love. I'm wearing a bunch of them on my lid today. All of the metallics in here are super, super sparkly. A couple a little bit more sparkly than others. I will say that Stripped Back is probably the shade that is the least sparkly, but even that being said, it is still really sparkly. A lot of these shades have a good, strong base color to them. I would say, again, they're kind of in the middle. They're not super sheer like an iridescent, shadow, and they're not super pigmented base for an example the Shroud metallics. They are perfect in between. They are super sparkly while still having a good base color to them. These work beautifully applied with a brush, with a finger, with and without a glitter primer as well, and I find that despite these being so sparkly, they don't crease on me. I have oily eyelids and I do use the Milani eyeshadow primer, and that primer works pretty much with every single formula, and these work beautifully. I don't have any creasing issues, no wear time problems, nothing like that. I absolutely love the different tones in here. There's such a variety. We have a lot of mauve colors, we have the light browns, the warm browns, some olives. The fact that there's olives in this palette makes this palette super universal to me. There's so many different undertones in here that it really is the perfect all-rounded neutral palette. I love these olive shades right here. They make my heart sing. Naked Eye and Nearly Natural, these kind of, this one's more of a taupe shade, this one's more of a pinky, rose gold with a lot of silver shimmer in it. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. A lot of these shades do have make metallic sparkle in them, Naked Eye, Nearly Natural, Unveiled, and Raw. All of those have a lot of silver shine in it, which make them complement each other really nicely, but they don't look too similar on the eyes, at least I don't find it. New Nude is a beautiful pale gold, exposed, mouth-watering. I know that I am kind of singing this palette's praises a lot, but genuinely, I don't see any negatives in it. Like, I haven't actually found anything that I'm like, I wish that could be a bit different. I think if I did have to say something that I would prefer to be a bit different, is that I would like one of the neutral brown mattes to be like another olive shade, because I mean, any excuse to throw in a little bit more colour is like, I'm gonna take it. And maybe another one of these really deep like matte shades as well, because again, I love the formula of them so much. I dip into this palette a lot for those deep mattes, and I'll pop a few looks that I have done on the screen right here, because even though this video is a 2 looks video, I've only filmed 2 looks. I have used this palette so many times, and every single time I've used it, I have felt glamorous, I felt gorgeous. This palette truly is like probably my favorite like true neutral palette in my collection, because I do have a few like kind of neutral leaning palettes, but nothing quite like this. I have really fallen in love with neutrals in the past year, and I feel like I love them just as much as colourful shades. And this palette, you can make this like either super pared back, super natural, or really dramatic like I've done with my looks today. Like, if I'm gonna do neutral tones, I like to make them a bit more dramatic personally. It's just my style, and I didn't expect to love this palette as much as I did. Like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, that is a really beautiful neutral palette, like, I will use it, I will, you know, I will like it, you know, it's Glaminatrix's formula, they have good formulas, but I didn't expect to genuinely fall head over heels in love with it. Like, I use this palette so much, I don't understand. And a lot of the times since I have owned this palette, whenever I'm reaching into like my drawers trying to figure out what kind of look I want to do today, a lot of the time I reach for this over my colourful shadows. That's how much I love it. Now, this palette is expensive, it is £40, but for me, the formula, the colour story, like everything all together, the fact that they're magnetic pans as well, and you get a nice big mirror too, and the packaging is really sturdy. It also has a magnetic closure, if you're curious. I truly think that this palette is worth the money. Would I have purchased it if this wasn't sent in PR? Absolutely. I have such a love affair with this palette. I think that if you love neutrals, you will not be disappointed if you own this. And a lot of people have said that this kind of compares, like the tones of it compare similar to the Blend Bunny Dollhouse palette, and I don't own that palette personally, but that's a palette that I've kind of always been like, And now that I have this, like, I mean, it's kind of like quelled my urges for the Dollhouse palette, but it's also at the same time been like, well, I love this palette so much, I'm gonna love the Dollhouse palette, which, no, should not do that. But yeah, that's basically my review of the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. If I had to give this a rating out of 10, honestly, I can't give it a 10 out of 10. I think a solid 9 out of 10? Is that too high? Oh, but I love this palette so much and the formula is great. I would give it a 9 out of 10. The reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 is because I would like another one of the like deep mattes. If like one of the browns was switched out for a deep matte, like another one, then I think this would be like a solid 10 out of 10. But anyways, with all of that said, let's get on into the 2 looks that I did. This look I'm wearing right here is look number 2, so if you'd like to see my looks, then just keep on watching. Alright, first look with the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. So in this look, I'm going to be mainly playing with the olive shades because I haven't actually used them on my eyes just yet. Eyes are going to be primed with the Milani eyeshadow primer, and I think today I'm going to be doing a halo eye because I think I found a technique on how to do halo eyes that flatter my eye shape, because halo eyes have been something I've been struggling with for a long time, so I think doing an olive halo eye would be really, really pretty. So we are first going to dip into Down to Earth, this olive matte. I'm gonna be fluffing it in my crease and making sure that it's really focused on the inner and outer corners, just so when we layer the darker shade, it's not lost. I'm so happy more brands are putting olives in their neutral palettes because it is such a beautiful neutral shade to me. And I'm gonna try and not wing this eyeshadow out because I have a tendency to bring my eyeshadow all the way out to here. But since this is gonna be a halo look, I kind of want to keep it more rounded. And I'm also going to take that Down to Earth shade on my lower lash. Just kind of fluffing it out. Again, trying not to wing it out. Alright, I think that base looks really, really nice. So I am now going to go into this shade right here, which is called Disrobe. And I'm going to be taking this on a more pointed brush. And we're going to be focusing this on the outer and inner portions of my eye. So I'm working in very small sections. I'm only taking a little bit of product on my brush because I am scared. I'm not a professional at halo eyes. Especially with hooded eyes, I think it's, like, at least for me, I find it quite difficult to do. So working in small sections always helps. Okay, time for the scary part, the inner portion. And then I'm going to tap off any excess off my brush, and I'm just going to make these two meet in the crease slightly. I love this Disrobe shade. It is so deep and rich, and not to mention it is super easy to blend. Okay, then I'm just going to take a little bit of that Disrobe shade on my lower lash. Normally I like to keep these super deep shades on my lower lash line just out here, but I'm just going to slightly drag it in just to make this look smoky. Okay, now time for the fun part, the shimmers. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the Feline Pixie Epoxy on the inner portion of my lid. I'm just going to put that on my finger, taking literally the tiniest bit of product and just lightly patting that on. Okay, so now we're going to go in with Exposed right here. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. Anytime I swatch this shadow, I'm like amazed. It is super gorgeous. So let's put that on the lid. I'm just going to be using my finger and tapping it on. That is absolutely divine. So I'm just going to go back in with my tiny brush with a little bit of Disrobe just to blend the edges. And now on my inner corner, I'm going to be taking New Nude. It's a pale gold shade, so we're just going to plop that on the inner corner, because I think it will complement the other shades real nice. Okay, I'm absolutely in love with this look so far, so I'm just going to go off camera, do my eye pencil, lashes and lips, and I'll be back to show you the completed look. Alrighty, so this is the look all complete. If you're curious about what I have used, for my waterline I used the Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in Groundbreaker, and for my lips I used the Colourpop Blur Lipstick in the shade Unreal. I bloody love this shade. Oh, and also I did apply some lashes, some half lashes. These are the Lash Filter lashes in Baby Feline. The best. So this is the look all complete. I rarely do super dark, like smoky makeup, especially like a dark smoky eye that's a halo eye. But I really love how this turned out. I feel really sexy in it, you know? So that's my first look with the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. So let's move on into the second look. So for this look, I'm thinking of doing like a kind of different, more dramatic version of the smoky wings that I've been doing lately, but instead of just keeping it to the lower lash line, we're gonna do like the whole lid and make it really smoky and dramatic. As always, I am using the Milani eyeshadow primer and not setting it. Okay, to start things off, we are taking the shade Naturally. This is probably one of my favorite shades in the palette. It's such a beautiful, deep, kind of cranberry shade. It's more of a deep mauve, but it does have like a bit of red undertones to it. And we're going to be taking this on an angled brush, tapping off the excess, and we're going to be kind of sketching out a wing. And I'm going to be following the natural shape of my waterline. Bringing it really far out. I'm now just taking a packing brush and I'm going to be filling in that shape. And for the outer edges where my brush is slightly too thick, I'm going back in with that angled brush, filling in the shape. I'm now going to dip into the shade Untouched, this light mauvey shade, and on the same packing brush I'm going to put it next to that Naturally shade and kind of slightly blend the two together. And then I'm going to go back into the Naturally shade, the first shade we used, mixing it a little bit with Untouched and blending the edge a bit because I want to make this as seamless as possible. Now we're going to be taking a little bit of the Feline Pixie Epoxy and I'm just going to apply this on my finger. You can use any sort of glitter primer that you prefer. And we're going to pat this on the inner portion of my lid to make sure we have a nice tacky base for the shimmers that we're going to be using. Just letting that dry for a second. And the shimmers we're going to be using, oh, there's so many good options in this palette. So the first shade I'm going to be using is this shade Nearly Natural. And I'm just going to take this on my finger. And it is so sparkly. It's like a beautiful like pinky mauve shade. And we're just going to tap that on. This shade is so beautiful. There's so many like shimmer particles in it and there's so much like silver. It's really stunning. And now for the inner portion of the lid, I'm going to be taking Naked Eye. And I'm going to take that on a stiffer brush, just because I don't think my finger can fit in. And just putting that on the inner portion. Just to create a bit more dimension. Oh. Now I really want to do like something on the lower lash line, but at the same time, like, this is so bright on the lid and I don't know if I want to do anything. I'm going to take a tiny bit of Naturally and Untouched, these two shades, and I'm just gonna put that on the outer portion of the lower lash line. I don't want too much. I want to keep the drama mostly on the lid. And finally for the inner corners, I'm taking the shade Unveiled. Oh, I keep reaching for it for my inner corners because it is just so pretty. It's like a peachy pink with tons of silver shimmer in it. And I'm dragging that a bit on my lower lash line too. Dragging it quite far in. So it meets the matte shade. Okay, I am going to do this look on the other eye, put on some lashes, eye pencil and lips, and we'll be back to wrap up this look. Alrighty, this is the look all complete. If you're curious about what I used, for my waterline I used a mix of two eye pencils. I used the Colourpop Creme Gel liners in Fiery Fierce and Blown Away. Yeah, again, I'm also wearing the Lash Filter lashes in Baby Feline. They just work with every look. They're perfect. For my lips, I used the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in Fussy. So that is the look all complete. Okay, and that is look number 2 complete. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully my review of the Nearly Natural was useful to you and you enjoyed the looks. Let me know which look was your favourite out of the 2 looks, or any of the looks that I have like shown pictures of, because, you know, I love this palette so much. Like, I can't get over it. It's just been such a pleasure to use. I love her. If you'd like to see more makeup content from me, then you can follow me on my Instagram. It's beautyybyskye right here. I post all my looks there and I'm active on there every single day. If you'd like to support me further, I do have my own small business, Rain Cloud Candles Co. We are a small queer-owned business based in the UK and we make handmade candles. The link to shop will be down below, along with our social media, if you'd like to support us. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!